Budgets, spending plans, whatever you call them, people have strong feelings about them. And over the past 10 years, when I've talked to couples and families about reaching their big goals, financial or otherwise, I noticed that certain patterns and habits kept coming up. One of those was how they handled their money. Now, here's a strange thing that might surprise you. While they all had some kind of spending plan with their money, they had different approaches with the budgets that they took. And in a way, that's good news for you because there's no one size fits all budget that's going to work. But the challenge is finding that right one that fits your family's goals and circumstances. So, how do you do that? Well, we're going to tackle that today. Let's begin with what a budget is supposed to do. At its core, a budget should hit three key areas. The first one are your necessities. Make sure that you have your essential bills that are getting taken care of. The second one is making sure that you're taking care of your financial goals. Maybe it's paying down debt, saving, or investing for your future. And then lastly, you want to make sure that your budget covers fun. This is your quality of life options. So what do you do for hobbies? What trips do you take as a family? These matter and they should be addressed in your budget. And what I've noticed when families talk about a budget not working for them, it's because one of those three areas aren't being addressed properly. If you can't pay the bills or you're being late with your payments, that is an extreme source of stress. Likewise, if you don't have enough money saved up for emergencies, which we know do come up from time to time, you're going to be having a lot of stress in your life. Same with if you can't seem to be paying down your debt. It's always growing. There's that tension between the two of you because it's not working. And then also, if you feel burned out, and you feel stressed out because you don't have enough in your budget to have some fun, to enjoy the time you have now with the family, you're going to start resenting that spending plan, that budget, and probably the person that created it. So when we talk about creating a budget, we have to make sure that we're hitting those three key areas. It'll help you not only stick with it, but help reach your goals faster. This week's money tip is going over three effective yet different ways to budget your money. And what's great about these is that you are going to be hitting those key areas. You're going to be taking care of your essentials, saving up for the future while still enjoying the now. So let's go over them. The first one is the 50-20-30 budget. As the name suggests, your money is going to be going into three buckets of expenses. The first one, 50% goes to essentials. Those are your needs like rent, mortgage, food, the utilities, and necessary transportation. Your second budget are your financial priorities. This is things that you're doing like paying down debt, saving up for your future, investing, as well as maybe some more immediate money goals like an emergency fund. And then your last one, the 30%, is your wants. These are your lifestyle choices. What do the two of you enjoy? What do you as a family prioritize? And this is encouraging because at least when you're starting off with this plan, you're having 20% devoted towards financial goals, which is much higher than the average American family right now. And there are other ways to manage your money in buckets, but this is a very popular way. And I like it because it's three paths that your money can go towards. And of course, you can always adjust this as you go through seasons of life and find the one that fits you best. The second approach with budgets is the pay yourself first or reverse budget. And typically, what budgets do is they look at your expenses and then you're allocating it there. With the reverse budget or pay yourself first, you're actually making sure that the first expense that comes out is what you are saving up for or that financial goal you decided is your priority. So that comes first. And then the remainder is divvied up with essential expenses and whatever guilt-free spending that you want to have. And this can be fantastic if you have a particular goal that you need to reach ASAP. Maybe you two are really serious about having an emergency fund up and you have a time limit. This can make sure that you hit that goal by whatever time frame you've decided. Or you want to buy a house in the near future. Down payment is significant, so prioritizing that with this budget system can be the way to go. The other side is if you're unfamiliar with budgets or the past ones haven't worked out quite well for you, this might be a little too aggressive with the saving, and then you're not addressing the other two areas. Usually people definitely make sure that they take care of the essentials, but then you don't have any wiggle room with your fun money, and then you break the budget because you feel burnt out and stressed out. So that's just something to consider. But for some people, the pay yourself or reverse budget is the way to go for them. And then finally, the last budget is called the zero based budget. And you got to admit, these budgets have really good names. As you could probably guess, this means that you are tracking every single dollar and making sure that it goes down to zero. Your take home pay equals the expenses out. And this can be great because if you are really serious about giving every single dollar a purpose, and it helps you too because you're detailed oriented, a zero based budget makes sure that you are giving a job for your money. And this is a method that Dave Ramsey's budget tool, probably guessed it, every dollar uses. It makes sure that you don't have any money leaks. Everything's planned before the deposit comes in, and then you can automate it the way that you need to so it goes in the direction that you have to have it go. And if you do have a history, maybe a spending problem, and you want to get that in check first, this can be a great budget option. But that strength can also be a hurdle. One hangup some people have with budgets is that they have to do a line by line review, and it's very time intensive, and they feel like this is not the way to go. Now, for those new to budgets, this could be overwhelming, but for others, it could be the perfect solution. There you have it. 3 different budgets that have worked for other families. The question is, what will be the best budget for you? If you're trying to figure out what's best, start with where you are now. Take a look at your current budget or spending plan. Is it more high level where you're divvying it up kind of in a bucket system already? Or do you like looking at it transaction level? And how well is it working for you? And speaking of numbers, I want you to look at them, but instead of tallying up the expenses and worrying about where you're going over the budget, the first thing I want you to do is try something a little bit different. I got to speak with Carl Richards a few times. He's a certified financial planner and a New York Times columnist. As a planner, he's worked with couples, and many times that budget is a source of stress. So to take that tension out, he suggests looking at the expenses and asking yourself, what value did I get out of that? Was eating out something that made me happy? How much? Go over it together and then review your own spending. There's no judging, just asking that question. What value did I get out of this? And what we're trying to do here with reviewing these expenses in this way is thinking about what are your priorities? Where do you really want your money to go? I mean, we can't change some of our bills right away. Of course, we can always optimize the budget, but for those discretionary expenses, are you getting the value that you think you're getting out of that? Because your budget's going to be a mix of those 3 different areas that we keep going back to: the essentials, your future goals, and then enjoying life now. And when we had Drew Snyder at the beginning of the season talking about a budget, even he was saying there were certain things that he's just not going to take out of his budget, which for him was soccer. And then for me, I love having some money set aside so I can eat out with friends, catch up with them. I find that I get tremendous value. I get happiness out of it. And I don't have to spend a ton of money to do it, but I do want to make sure that it's set aside. So when you look at your expenses through that lens, it allows you to create a values-driven budget. Whatever budget method you decide to go with, it's less of a concern because you understand that it's just a tool to make sure that your money is working for you.